All in all, I would say that 2019 has been a rather good year for PC gaming so far. However, there have been some games that I had some high expectations for, as did a ton of other PC gamers, and they just didn't turn out to be all that great, and that's what I'm going to be going over in today's video. Specifically, I want to highlight 10 colossally disappointing PC game releases of 2019 so far that every PC gamer hated towards various extents. Some of you guys might have hated one game more than another. Whatever the case may be, this isn't necessarily a top 10, just games that really did disappoint me. Even with some of them, I personally was expecting them to be not so great, but I knew they had a sliver of potential, and unfortunately that just was not realized. So let's get started, and let's kick it off with a game that I was so disappointed by because I thought it had so much potential, and that is Generation Zero. This game came from Avalanche Studios, and it was a new IP by them, and Avalanche, of course, had done games such as Just Cause, they did Mad Max, and Generation Zero fundamentally looked really good. A cooperative game, and it was so interesting from a premise standpoint. You had mechs, you had this great setting in Sweden, and I just thought the potential was limitless for the game. Unfortunately, it didn't turn out all too well. There were some notable issues with the game from a content standpoint, and there were a lot of technical issues as well. I was really hyping up this game headed into its release, and it's not like the game has no redeeming qualities. There are some good qualities about the game. Some combat elements are well done. However, there just isn't that longevity to the game, and even though it was priced at $35, you still have to expect some sort of quality and longevity from it, and unfortunately, it's just a janky game all around. Hopefully, either Avalanche sticks to this game and makes it a lot better, or they just jump into something completely new, and I do think at this point that's probably the better idea. Alright, next up, here's a release that really pissed me off because Ubisoft tried to be a little crafty with us, and that is Assassin's Creed 3 Remastered. Now, why was I upset about the release of Assassin's Creed 3 Remastered? Is it because I hate Assassin's Creed 3 as a game? No, not at all. I actually really enjoyed Assassin's Creed. However, Ubisoft tried to be a little bit clever, and what they did was they pulled Assassin's Creed 3 from Steam. Keep in mind that that was a game that was regularly going on sale, and you could find it all the time for like $6 and change. Then they put out Assassin's Creed 3 Remastered, didn't offer AC3 owners a discount, and charged $39.99 for it. So yes, if you want AC3 on Steam right now, your option is to get the game for $40. That's how you're gonna play Assassin's Creed 3. Now, do you want to give me that hot garbage that, oh, you get Assassin's Creed 3 Liberation as well? Assassin's Creed 3 Liberation is absolutely abysmal. It was a PlayStation Vita game, and it is not a good game. So do not hit me with that as justification for the game being priced at $40. It's a bad game, and AC3 is good, but not at a $40 price point for a game that is, what, 7 years old at this point? Alright, next up, here's one that the entire PC gaming community, and honestly, the entire gaming community got up in arms for, and that is NBA 2K20. Now, fundamentally, is NBA 2K20 a horrible game? No, and even coming from somebody that isn't a basketball fan, I have no reason to really hate on the game. However, I can hate on the business practices and everything the game did from a microtransaction standpoint, loot box standpoint. And this is a game that really paints a bleak picture for gaming as a whole. Taking things from a general, pay $60 and you get the content right out of the gate, to paying $60 and also implementing mobile-like microtransactions, that's not gonna fly. And to give you guys an idea of how much gamers hate this game, 2,997 Steam user reviews, easily one of the worst review percentages that I've ever seen, with 15% of the reviews being positive. That is abysmal, and just goes to show how much people really hated that game. Alright, next up, here's one that personally left me so disappointed, and that is Left Alive. Left Alive was a game that I was looking forward to so much because it was a new IP from Square Enix. Square Enix needed to establish some new IPs because they just don't have a lot of compelling new games being created. They can stick to Final Fantasy, they can stick to Kingdom Hearts, all of those series that brought them to the dance. However, they have a hard time in creating captivating new franchise, and Left Alive seemed like it was going to be something to that effect. Unfortunately, it just didn't turn out all too well, and by the way, another reason people were so excited for this game, you had some veteran developers in there. Toshifumi Nabeshima, director of Armored Core, Yoji Shinakawa from Kojima Productions, Takayuki Yanase from Ghost in the Shell Horizon, Mobile Suit Gundam 00, Xenoblade Chronicles X, them all coming together to create this game that looked a little bit like Metal Gear, had some mechs in it. It looked so promising. Unfortunately, it was a blunder in so many areas, from its poor visuals, poor gameplay. The only area it has some redeeming qualities is the story, and let's be real, if everything else around it isn't up to par, the story's only gonna take it so far. Next up, here's a game that I didn't hate as much as some other people, and given that it is a part of Microsoft's Xbox Game Pass, you can't hate on it all too much, but Crackdown 3 was a little bit of a disappointment as well, given that Crackdown 3 was announced around the time that the Xbox One released. This game had been a long time coming, and Crackdown 1 was a phenomenal game. That was a game that sold really well because it was bundled with the Halo 3 beta, but it turned out to be a really great game in its own right. Crackdown 2 wasn't as good, but Crackdown 3 looked like it was gonna be a pretty fun open world game. Unfortunately, a little bit bland, and given that we've had some high quality open world titles this generation, Crackdown 3 is just not up to par. Now, it would be a really bad purchase at $60, however, considering that Game Pass is so cheap and you can play it just as a part of your subscription along with all of those other games, honestly, it's not too bad to just give it a whirl, see how you like it. There are some fun factors to it. It's a no-nonsense open world title. I just think a game like Saints Row 4 is better, but nonetheless, there you have it with Crackdown 3. Honestly, I think Crackdown has gone as far as it can as a franchise. I would like to see that studio move on to something different, and I do think from a Microsoft standpoint that their main priority should be establishing new compelling franchises, not, relying on Crackdown. Next up, we've got Wolfenstein Youngblood, which is another game that people absolutely hated. And the issue with this game was from a content standpoint. It's $29.99. You don't have a ton of content in it either. And there were some technical issues in the game as well. It was just a poorly made game, which was so surprising given that Machine Games is incredibly talented, so you would just expect something better from them no matter what they touch. You would think that they would just offer something of quality. They just have that track record, and Wolfenstein Youngblood unfortunately was not that. Wolfenstein Cyberpilot, by the way, the VR game wasn't all too great either, but Youngblood really takes the cake in terms of not being that great of a game. Next up is one game that some of you guys might disagree with me on, but I absolutely did not like Rage 2, and I was excited for Rage 2. I played the first Rage, and I had some fun with it, but man, Rage 2 did not do much for me. Personally speaking, I had some technical issues, but let's eliminate that altogether. The first-person shooting gameplay, yes, it's software, and you would expect something incredibly satisfying. It's just there. I wouldn't say that it's anything mind-blowing. Is it good? I don't even know if I would say that. It's just okay. The open world is a little bland, and do not get me started on the story and voice acting. And the most I can say about Rage 2 is that it's an okay game that you shouldn't spend anywhere over $20 on, and honestly, it's not a game based on everything else that's available right now that I would waste my time and play. But I don't know, maybe some of you guys disagree, maybe some of you guys thought a little bit more highly of it, but me personally, I did not like Rage 2 all that much, and it seemed like the general consensus was it wasn't that great of a game. Alright, next up, here's one that was rather disappointing for me, and that is Jump Force. When Jump Force was announced and we were getting a fighting game with a crossover of all of these iconic anime characters, Naruto, Bleach, Dragon Ball, I was excited. I had an idea that it wasn't going to be the best game in the world, but man, Jump Force was just not very good. From a content standpoint, it was rather bland. The story mode was really not that great, and even if you are a gigantic fan of all of the IP represented in the game, yeah, you are gonna have some fun based on the flash and the immediate appeal of the game, but that immediate appeal is gonna dissipate really quickly, and you're not gonna have a lot of fun with it for the long term. Added the fact that on PC, the user base just isn't that strong, that makes it even worse. And altogether, the game is just not very good. It's been made abundantly clear that that is the case. And next up, let's go with the anime style. Piece Worldseeker was not a very good game either. Now look, I am not the biggest One Piece fan in the world, although, recently speaking, I have been kind of trying to get into it. It's like 900 goddamn episodes. Who's got time to watch that? But I'm trying to get around to watching it. However, I do know the general story, but unfortunately, One Piece Worldseeker, from a fundamental game design standpoint, it kind of faltered in that aspect. I had high expectations for it, given that it was this open world One Piece game. Visually, it looked pretty good, but it had some fundamental flaws, and it's not taking One Piece to the level of, say, what the Naruto games and some of the more recent Dragon Ball games have done for those IPs. I don't know why, but One Piece games just generally have not been at that level, at the level of a Naruto Storm or a Dragon Ball FighterZ. Obviously distinctly different games, but nonetheless, One Piece just hasn't had a game at that quality level. Hopefully at some point that happens, but Worldseeker absolutely was not that. And lastly, this should be a formality, a foregone conclusion, but yes, it is Anthem. the game that did so much irreparable damage to BioWare, to EA. I don't even know where to start with Anthem. I think people got an inclination that the game wasn't gonna be that great a little bit ahead of its release, but people still held out hope. It was BioWare. They're one of the most iconic studios of all time. They've created some phenomenal RPGs, and unfortunately, after the release of Mass Effect Andromeda, and more importantly, after the release of Anthem, they have really fallen apart. Now, you can look up all of the turmoil that they've been going through recently, but Anthem was just not a very good game. From a content standpoint, a little bit bland, not very engaging, and given that we have all of these multiplayer games that are sinking up so much time, I don't know why so many resources were put behind Anthem to make that a priority. Why not just have BioWare continue to do their single-player god-tier games? Unfortunately, after Andromeda, I don't know, maybe they wanted to do something different. Anthem was obviously in development for a long time before the release of Andromeda, but it just did not turn out to be a great game. And this game, while this isn't a top list, should be at number 1 because this game has done some irreparable damage, some long-term damage to BioWare, to EA, and that is something you can't say about any of these other games. Look, for basketball fans, they're still gonna buy the next NBA. Assassin's Creed 3 Remastered, they're still gonna buy the next Assassin's Creed. Generation Zero, yeah, it wasn't a great game, but it's not like Avalanche were the pinnacle game studio in the world, and Generation Zero has completely ruined them. Left alive, it's still Square Enix. They're gonna release Final Fantasy VII Remake and sell 1 billion copies. Crackdown 3, Microsoft's got so much money that they don't have to give a crap about anything. Wolfenstein Youngblood, it's Bethesda. Machine Games can turn around and create another Wolfenstein. Again, Rage 2, id Software helped out with that game, but they're gonna put out Doom Eternal. That game is probably gonna be phenomenal. People are gonna forget about it. Jump Force and One Piece Worldseeker, people don't have that high expectations for anime games, but Anthem was a BioWare game. BioWare at one point was the top studio in the world, and now look at them. They're really trying to earn back our trust, and Anthem is just gonna make that very, very hard to do. So that's gonna conclude this video. I hope you guys found it enjoyable. There were a couple of other games that I could have mentioned on this list, but I thought these 10 games definitely deserved a spot. Not to say that all of these games are really, really bad, but for different reasons. I think PC gamers do harbor some form of hatred towards them. So that's gonna conclude this video. If you guys have a request for a future video, you can leave that in the comment section down below, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace out. Hey, what's going on, guys? Mush here again. Hope you enjoyed the video. As you guys might know, YouTube's notification system is sometimes a little bit wonky, even if you're subscribed to the channel. Maybe you're not abundantly aware that I uploaded a video. To remedy that situation, make sure you hit the bell notification button. This way, whenever I upload a new video, and I try to upload as consistently as possible, you will be notified directly of the upload, and you can watch it as soon as it goes live. I would really appreciate if you guys hit that button so you can stay up to date with all of the content I'm posting. But as always, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.